Malvika and Saba, we are all young at heart as well, aren't we? And therefore, my first point, I'd like to go across to Malvika.
Thank you for reminding us that I'm not young.
Well, Malvika, I really think that it is going to be very, very difficult for the political class to completely tell these young people that, their views can be presented before some parliament committee or some committee, then be put in cold storage, kept in freezer for 10 years, discussed in endless parliament sessions through breaks. So by the time these young people who are with us on the program are in their 40s, perhaps there will be some movement. But that's the standard way. I don't mean to put out it's important to put out the crude reality of the system we're up against. And so the fact is, these people who don't want change, who want the status quo to continue, would want to deal with what you're asking for in that manner. They'd say, great idea, but it's going to take some time. There are some processes. It doesn't happen overnight. A candlelight vigil does not translate into legislation and things like that. So when you are told things like that, what should they do? I want to hear from Malvika. When they are going to be told things like that, what should they do, Malvika?
Well, for a start, I want to say that a students' movement or youth movements are very powerful forms of protest that have effected huge changes, important changes in the history of mankind over generations. So the fact that now this country is coming alive to a youth movement is a marvelous thing, but it didn't mean that it's the first youth movement. We've all been young and spent days in university talking, asking questions, insisting upon certain things, achieving some changes, and somewhere then, yes, you get co-opted into the system of living and earning a living, and you become moderate. And that also is, you get tinged with cynicism. So the power of a youth movement is always the power of idealism. And that surge of idealism is very important in a society for the older people as well. For the older people as well, to keep alive the candle of idealism. Because we as what you've just said, Arnab, for example, is said these are the brutal realities and this is what you're going to have to be, and it's cynical. I don't think so. I don't think so. I would tell them, like I would tell my children, and as I have done protests, and somewhere, sadly, I think I've spent this time introspecting, but perhaps somewhere compromised myself with the business of living. But the important thing is that you must, if you ask for it, you insist upon it, of course it will happen. You may have to see women's movements. This is not the beginning of it. Sadly, it tapered off because it seemed that results were enough. They had the right to vote, they were breaking glass ceilings, they were, rising high in politics, in films, etc., in various, there's suddenly more visibility than there was before. But today the women's movement, fostered and fueled in this fashion by the youth with this surge of idealism, must remember that it has to be nuanced now on an inner engineering of attitude, which means that they themselves, which includes women, are going to have to say that we are equally empowered.
Yeah.
We will put food on our own tables and such like. Yeah. And this is how we are going to bring up our sons. That's the difference. But I'm not cynical. In fact, I feel youthful now in these last 10 days in feeling a surge of idealism in me to say, why did we drop it? Why did we get encumbered? And it's time to think and talk and articulate, and we have the benefit of media, of modern forms of communication, to start very rapid fire movements, and that's fabulous.
That's the fact. Malvika, if today, I don't know if Saba can tell us more, but I think if I don't know if it's Sharad Yadav or some other politician who used the word parkati, to describe women who are asking for the women's reservation bill. I think it was a phrase called parkati, women with bob cut hair or some nonsense like that.
Yeah.
A lot of nonsense is said often, but I don't know if today.
My grandmother used to sometimes say
The fact is, you know, Malvika and Saba, I'd like to go to you. Today they would not have the courage to say that. Because when Abhijit Mukherjee tries to do a Sharad Yadav, he's treated like Sharad Yadav might have been responded to had he said this in 2012. Saba, don't you think so?
Arnab, yes, I do think the politicians have not come off well, and they really do these days on many things. But I just want to stick, you know, with your theme about youth, because today my 14-year-old daughter came with me to Jantar Mantar. So it's so nice to hear these young people so involved in an issue which is beyond, you know, the sort of going to a mall, having fun. This is something which today morning, you know, I'm a cynical journalist. I've covered so many awful things in my life. But there has been something about the story of this young girl, which is so, you know, we always take one story, a personalized story, which touches us. And that the spark is created. And today, my daughter came with me to Jantar Mantar. We were there for an hour or so. And, you know, they're interested. The young people are actually interested in this. I've done so many things in the past. She's been sort of moderately interested. But this is something which her generation is going to be interested in. It is something that they're talking about. It's affecting them. So certainly I think it's very nice to see young people get touched beyond just the desire to consume or have, you know, something more. And I also, you know, want to make the point that there have been some people who have said that it's urban and it's this and it's that. And,
No.
Of course, we all know what awful things have happened in India which have been ignored. But again, I say it is a spark of a personalized story. And the story of this girl is so touching, so horrific, that it has to touch us. And, you know, the minute I heard this, my heart sank, and today was a holiday. And yet, one felt the need to go there, and my daughter wanted to come with me, and we were both there for a while. And this is the first time, so she has seen her first sort of protest in a way today. So it is something which, you know, which has effect, which has the young people concerned, interested.
I'm with you, but
doing
you know,
something about it.
Saba,
but, you know, now that you have these lovely young.
Yes, yes, please. Sorry. Please continue.
Arnab, I just want to say, now that you have all these lovely young people around you just now, there, you know, an issue like this should make us question how we deal with the world. There are things that we take for granted. And I really, you know, have this question for these young people who probably enjoy cinema and shopping, as do I. And this is not, and I have no issues with mainstream cinema. I'm not a feminist activist. I'm a political journalist. But because of this incident, the other day when I saw Dabangg 2, and there is a particular dance which was also very well done by the standards of Hindi cinema, but there is a lyric in a dance which Kareena Kapoor does, where she says ki main tandoori chicken hoon. Now, in the context of what has happened in Delhi, it sounded grotesque to me. It may not have sounded grotesque to me before one knew the details of this incident.
That's the
And
point.
I wonder how an educated woman like Kareena, she's from the sort of blue chip families of Mumbai. She is married into the Pataudi family. Surely something like this should make us more aware of the processes that lead to women becoming a tandoori chicken or an object. What happened to this young girl? And I'm not being a sort of no fun feminist right now.
I understand what context you're saying
like
that.
This should just make us think about this.
I want to, before I open this up to debate, I want to go across and get a word in from Shivam Vij, who's a journalist and blogger, and young Congress leader Ragini Nayak, who's been one of the most prominent leaders from Delhi University. But first I want to go across to you. Ragini, you're a member of the Congress party, but the political party that you represent, you know, today Sheila Dikshit, you're from Delhi, aren't you? You've been leading the Delhi University Students' Union earlier. The Delhi Chief Minister, who's from the Congress, is booed away. She's booed away. I'll play the pictures as I'm speaking. She's booed away because for 14 days she didn't show enough sensitivity. Now, about 12 or 13 days back, she cried on a TV interview. And after that, she got into the usual infighting with Delhi police and all that. Do you feel somewhere that people, and especially young people, are too smart, that they have seen through, these games? You want to treat the people of India, especially the young people, like robots. We do this, they'll respond like this. We'll do this, they'll get provoked like this. Then we'll put one against the other. Then we'll break them up into caste. When caste becomes an issue, we'll create another issue. We'll divert the people. We'll polarize them. These games belong to the 16th century. Do you think politicians like you will have to reassess the games that you play with young people?
Yeah. Let me begin by quoting Robert Frost here. The woods are dark and deep, with promises to keep and miles to go before we sleep. The promises which are being made have to be kept. And I think this will be the touchstone. There have been precedents, you have named many incidents in which promises were made, but there had been some sort of delays.
Some sort of delays.
This time you're talking about Sheila Dikshit. I would also here bring out the point that she was the first political leader from the Congress party to come out and say that police had behaved atrociously and this should not have been done. There should have been a sort of a patient approach from the police's side. I am amazed to see I think that the flip side of the picture should also be seen. If the politicians do not come out, if the leaders of the country do not come out to show their solidarity and support to this upsurge, to this protest.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think you're being. I think you're being overly charitable.
Ample time to other people to present their views. Now please let me complete. Please let me.
But this show is.
Please allow me some time.
No, but I think you're being too generous with Sheila Dikshit. I want to ask you. I want to ask you. It's time to be. I have decided to be undiplomatic tonight.
The entire political class is completely.
Not that I've ever been diplomatic, but one second. I want to ask you.
I have a fetish for direct answers.
Okay. Since you are
cannot be monosyllabic.
No, I'm not monosyllabic. You can be multisyllabic, but I want in a few syllables from you your analysis.
I'll have to.
One second. Let me please. Ragini,
please let me
Ragini, I want to know, you're a young Congress leader, in your view, why was Sheila Dikshit booed away today?
Yes.
Let's play the pictures. I want to know why you think Sheila Dikshit was booed away today. Just tell me that. And then I'll get a response from Mishika Singh on why she thinks Sheila Dikshit was booed away today.
That there have been precedents not only by the Congress run states, but I think by the entire political class of this country, which has somewhere down the line led to this kind of a presumption. If politicians come to show some solidarity, then that's a pretense.
But hear from Mishika.
On behalf, individually, and what I believe in is the fact that this time there will be no dilly-dally. There will be no delay.
Ragini, some of our panelists want to respond to you.
Which I want to point here.
Some want to respond to you.
Can I here also represent my individual views?
Yeah, your views, but I want to hear the responses to your views, Ragini. And Mishika has her own view. Because this was a non-political protest.
Congressmen can...
Mishika.
Yeah, because the problem is that the congressmen can keep defending themselves. That's not going to be the solution. If they don't acknowledge the problem, they can never find a solution for it. So the Congress can keep defending itself at every step. We saw what happened in Jantar Manch today. Sheila Dikshit came after 14 days and obviously she was booed away because the people are angry. Where was she when all this happened? Why aren't the laws being strengthened? Why are rape cases still taking places? So all this anger is
assertive.
The people are it will come out.
This is an increasingly assertive generation. Ragini, hear from this generation. Whereas for too long politicians have thought that the young people in this country are interested in popcorn, Formula 1 and Britney Spears. The young people of this country have a stake in the country's politics. It's time to hear from them. It's time to hear from them, Ragini. Hear from them. Hear from Aditya. Aditya wants to say something to you. Aditya.
If I may,
yes.
She made 3 points. One point was it does take time. There are commissions, there are set processes. But we watch the news. We've seen how the nuclear bill got passed. We've seen how just before this issue, the quota bill, the promotion quota bill was passed. And we've seen many laws. I don't want to get into the merits of them. Some I agree with, some I may not agree with, but they have been passed. We have seen special extraordinary sessions of the parliament.
Of course there have been.
About it.
Of course.
And we really want to know what is so controversial about passing laws to protect women.
You want to see a special session of parliament, Shalaka? Yes. Let me put that to you. You think a special session of parliament is in order now?
Yes, absolutely.
You think the youth of this country will vote and watch such a session of parliament and rate their own leaders?
What we see on the streets reflects what the youth want.
Do the youth have a stake?
Yes, of course they do.
And are the youth willing to give time?
Of course they are. An organization...
Create structures to vote?
Yes. Just like Zero Tolerance campaign, we pushed it through as far as we could, and there are plenty of people out there like us.
And it must have been difficult. Even the Zero Tolerance campaign must have had its own set of hurdles.
Absolutely, Arnab. Today, why are we coming out? That is the main question. Yeah. Today, if I start from my house, reaching office is seriously I would say it is a complete set of routine for me to actually bypass sexual advances.
That's in Mumbai.
Yes, and that is at Mumbai, which is supposed to be the most safest city.
Yeah.
The safest city for women.